Staying with South Asia, India will soon be hosting the Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennet. He is expected to arrive in India on the 2nd of April. This will be his first official visit to the country. Our next report tells you what's expected.
I am delighted to pay my first official visit to India at the invitation of my friend, Prime Minister Modi. With this statement, Israel's Prime Minister Naftali Bennet announced his visit to India. Date of arrival, the 2nd of April. India and Israel are celebrating 30 years of diplomatic relations. Israel opened its embassy in New Delhi in February 1992. India opened its embassy in Tel Aviv 3 months later. Ties between the two countries grew under the radar. One of the biggest challenges before India was striking a balance act between Israel and Palestine. In 2017, India adopted a policy of dehyphenation. It decided that the relationship with Israel would be independent of New Delhi's ties with Palestine. Narendra Modi became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit Israel. The relationship between the two countries was upgraded to strategic partnership.
What a great day, historic day.
The next year, then Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited India. He said Israel's partnership with India was made in heaven. Reports say Netanyahu placed a framed photograph with himself and Prime Minister Modi in his Jerusalem office. India, too, has gone out of its historic path to show its support for Israel. In 2021, for example, India abstained from voting on a UNHRC resolution calling for a report on human rights situation in Palestine. Can Israel too showcase this neutrality in conflicts involving India and China? Israel has strong ties with both New Delhi and Beijing. Reports say Chinese companies in Israel are working on deals worth $20 billion. In 2017, Netanyahu visited China. He met Chinese President Xi Jinping. And while speaking about Israel-China relations, Netanyahu said, "I believe this is a marriage made in heaven." A year later, he uttered the same words in the context of India. But that's history now. Today, there is a new leader at the helm of Israel, and he comes with newer promises. Israel itself is currently better placed on the global map. It has formalized relations with the UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. India, too, is closer to West Asia than ever before. It's before this backdrop that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be shaking hands with Naftali Bennet. What will be on the agenda? The strengthening of cooperation, says Israel. Both countries trade goods worth $4.14 billion, excluding defense. India is Israel's 7th largest trade partner. So this will definitely be a part of the discussion. Prime Minister Modi and Bennet are also likely to talk about Ukraine. The two leaders met in Glasgow last October, and this will be their second in-person meeting. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.